So when I was 10 years old, my school had its annual sports day. The boys had relays, sprints, football tournaments. And the girls, we had an egg and spoon race. Yes, that was our Olympic event. Forget Usain Bolt. Apparently, the real athletes were 10-year-old girls trying to balance eggs. Everyone laughed, but I didn't. Because just a few years back in Kenya, my dad used to wake all of us up at 5 a.m. for family runs. And my mom made sure that our meals matched our miles. Running? That was just the way of life. And now suddenly, here in my school, the message was clear. Sports are not normal for girls. The only race I was allowed to run involved not dropping breakfast. By the way, my name is Fatima Tahir. I'm 19 years old. I'm a student. I'm a marathon runner. I'm a national level cyclist and a national level triathlete. And sports aren't just a hobby for me. They're what has polished me into the person I am today. Every single race, every single fall, every single early morning has made me the person I am today. Sports isn't only how I spend my time. It's about how I see the world. They've given me resilience, purpose, and a reason to keep moving forward when everything else told me to stop. For decades, women in this country have been given smaller lanes. Sana Mir in cricket had to fight for recognition. Hajar Khan in football was mocked for playing a boys' game. And that's just the beginning of it. All of them were told, this isn't you. You can't do this. You should stay home. You should stay safe. And you know what happens when women are denied sports? They don't only lose games. They lose joy. They lose confidence. And most importantly, they lose identity. Now, moving towards my own cycling journey, a total accident, literally. I was at a race supporting a friend, Natalia Khan. She's a national level rower and a national level cyclist as well. And she convinced me to take part in the amateur race. So it was my first time on a professional road cycle, and which, by the way, is less of a bike and more of an evil, torture, medieval device. So, first time on a professional race cycle, and I fell. I fell hard. The kind of fall that even makes your ancestors a bit embarrassed. But I got up anyways, and I kept pedaling. And somehow, just somehow, I came third. I still have no idea how I came third in that race. But after the race, a senior coach came up to me, and he said, "You've got a knack for this." That one line, that one sentence from an elder with trust changed my whole life. Now, of course, convincing my parents, that was a whole Olympic event of its own. My parents said it wasn't safe. And to be fair, they were right. I mean, the horse roads are really risky. And other than that, next came society. Auntie saying, cycle chala chala ke kya milega? Or others saying, you're already so skinny, why do you need to run? And oh yes, my personal favorite. Cycle chala chala ke kali ho gayi ho. I guess I lost medals, but I got free dermatology advice. But you know, behind these jokes was a deeper meaning, a mindset that had been passed on from generation to generation, saying that sports were immoral, they were unworthy, and that they were dangerous for women. And you know, that's what hurts the most, when women are trying to shrink other women's dreams. I tried to ignore it as much as I could. I laughed off most of it, and I just kept racing. Small races, local races. By 2021, I got selected in the national team to go to Gwadar, my first nationals. I had been waking up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. I had been sending my mom live locations for 2 years straight. I had been putting the miles in just to get that spot on the team. So when I made it to Gwadar, I said, this is it. This is where I get my first national medal. And then reality hit me like a truck. I lost my races, not just one, but both of them. And I quickly realized, no one needed to lecture me, I quickly realized that if I wanted a national medal, it was going to be a lot more tougher. It wasn't going to come this easy. So I stayed at it. I knew I had to put in more effort, more early mornings, more discipline. I stayed at it. I was still determined. Soon after, I got selected in the Pakistan official cycling team, which was honestly a very big shock, because in those trials, I beat the most senior girl there was. And everyone was as shocked as I was, because I was still a 15-year-old, and the girl next to me was 20, 21, and she had been cycling for like 6, 7 years prior. So I got selected, and I thought, maybe this is it. This is where my dreams are going to come true. They're finally coming true. I've put in the work, I've put in the effort. I'm going to get the reward for this. Camp started soon after. At the same time, I had my A1 finals. So of course, it was another fight with my parents that I'll balance both of them now. And eventually they agreed, because I'm the kind of daughter who doesn't take no for an answer. So camp started, and it was something like I'd go to training, I'd come to this campus. This is the campus I was giving my A1 exams in at that time. I'd come here, set my exam, and head right back to training. Unfortunately, halfway into camp, I had a terrible accident. The kind of accident जिसके बाद आप अपने बाजू की तरफ भी नहीं देख सकते. I planned I wasn't going to get into this, but I'm going to be very truthful to you guys. When I fell down, I was sitting there covered in mud, my helmet cracked in half, my arm bleeding like it has never before. And the senior coach of the camp came up to me, and he said, laughingly, तुम ज़्यादा आगे नहीं निकल रही थी, तुम्हें जान के गिराया गया है. The fact that he had the audacity to do that to a 15-year-old girl who was going against all odds to be standing where she was. You know why? All because I was the most junior girl on that team, and he couldn't get his girl selected for that camp, and I got selected. And I could not do absolutely anything about that. I was heartbroken, but camp was still going on, so I wasn't going to lose it. I rested for about 10 days, and then we had the final trials, which I like to call the final blow. After the trials, we girls found out that the federation hadn't even sent our passports in the first place for visas. What a joke. Honestly, it was, now that I speak of it, it seems like a joke. But at that time, I was devastated. I was breaking down bone by bone. I had lost all motivation. And right when I thought things can get worse, my A1 results came in. I had failed. So that was the most bottom line for me. I somehow convinced my father to let me take a gap year. And I have my siblings sitting here, and they know my father is not the kind of person who would let anyone take a gap year. But for some reason, he did let me take it. And for the first 4 months, I just bed-rotted. I became the laziest, slowest version of myself, because I didn't see any hope in your light. But you know, that's the thing about trust. When it's real, it doesn't vanish. So my parents never pushed me, but through a small gesture, a word, a smile, they always reminded me that they believe in me. So when National Juniors came around, I decided I'm not just showing up, I'm winning this. Trained for 3-4 months prior, of course, and I was at the starting line, my legs trembling, my hands gripping the cycling bar so hard they hurt, and my heart about to explode. And all I could think about was all of the 5 a.m. runs in Kenya, all of the early mornings, all of the doubts I had been fed, and all of the stares I had gotten on the roads of Lahore. And I decided, this is mine. I crossed the line first, National Junior Champion. But the road wasn't smooth. About 5-6 months later, we had Peshawar Road Nationals come up, and I was training like it was everything that existed. I wasn't just training, I was obsessed. I would wake up early in the morning, head out with my coach, and come right before dark. Because I was in gap year, I didn't need to study anyways. We had the times of the previous winners written down, and we were trying to get close to them as much as we could. 2 weeks before the nationals, I hit the time. And I thought, oh my God, this is mine. Because I've hit the time, the gold medals are mine. But unfortunately, politics struck again, and I won't bore you with the details. Of course, if someone wants to ask me personally, I'll let you know everything. But let's just say Pakistani Cycling Federation could have its own Netflix political thriller. This time, though, I wasn't that broken, because now I had little girls coming up to me and saying, we want to be like you, or even just a, you're so cool. But you know, deep down, that was not enough. I did not feel accomplished on my end. So I decided I was going to step down after one local duathlon, because the politics, the federations, it was too overwhelming. For something जहाँ आपको कुछ return में भी नहीं मिल रहा, चलो ठीक है पाकिस्तान है, sportsmen को पैसे नहीं मिलते, इज्जत तो मिलनी चाहिए ना, इधर तो इज्जत भी नहीं मिलती थी. So I decided I was going to step down. So came the last duathlon. A duathlon, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is a running plus cycling race. My elder sister had actually signed me up for it to cheer me up after everything that had happened. And I showed up on race day, and I won first position because I was in really good shape. Of course, a local duathlon was going to be nothing compared. That's when FTC enters the chat. FTC approached me after the race to join their club, and I was like, absolutely not. I was done with this chapter of my life. And on top of that, although the club was really professional, it had 40 members, and all 40 of them were males. Not a single female. So a definite no. But then my elder sister, she sat me down and she said, Fatima, maybe this will be a good thing for you. And since I trust her so much, I hesitantly said yes. And looking back now, it was and still is one of the best decisions of my life. And just this year, with the help of FTC, I've launched a girls-only running club within FTC. So from egg and spoon to a whole running club, that's full circle. Through it all, the constants have been my parents. So I'd like to say thank you to my dad, who never pressurized me. He would, before every race, say to me, "Na bhi jeeti to khair hai." And I'd get mad thinking, oh, maybe he doesn't want me to win, or maybe he thinks I can't win. But all this time, it was his way of protecting me. It was his way of telling me to worry less and enjoy more. And to my mom, for praying for me always, for carrying so much stress on her shoulders. Thank you, Mama, and I'm so sorry for all the tension. And my elder sister, last but not least, the person who pushed me through everything. A national level rower herself, who wasn't allowed to travel and compete in her own races, but she stood by me in every single one of mine. She was there at every race, every training session, every finished line, cheering me on, fighting for me to have the chances she did not get. Their doubts, their fears, their questions all come from love. And that's what sports has taught me. Trust isn't handed to you. It's earned, it's built, and it's cherished. And that is the real bridge between generations. Tradition says, stay at home, stay safe. But trust says, go, try, fall, and rise back again. And that is the gift I want to pass on to all the young girls daring to move, to run, to cycle, or even just to dream. Because when one generation chooses trust, the next chooses courage. And you know, courage, that's what it takes to change the world. Thank you.